Assalamu alaikum to all of my students. Hope you all are fine. Today I am going to discuss one of the important topic, that is fiscal policy. What we call fiscal policy? Generally there are two policies, yes, fiscal policy and monetary policy. These are two key tools, yes, that we utilize in order to stabilize the economy during the situation of excess and deficit demand. Today I will discuss what we call fiscal policy. Generally, fiscal policy deals with expenditure, expenditure and taxation. Yes, taxation policies of the government. Expenditure and taxation policies of the government. It not only includes expenditure and tax government policy, but there are other like investment and disinvestment, investment and disinvestment, yes, debt and surplus management. Surplus management. Then these are the tools which are utilized in order to stabilize the economy by government. As these are the policies of government: expenditure and taxation policy, investment, disinvestment, debt and surplus management. It is talks about the government as they done it for the purpose of to stabilize the economy during the excess and deficit demand. As during yes during so depression of 1930s, western yes western capitalistic countries and due to World War Second. Due to this depression, Western capitalist countries faced this depression, and World War Second was also held at that time. These countries at that time were facing depression. One of the renowned economists, Keynes, J.M. Keynes, felt that there are no automatic forces that will tend to overcome the countries from this depression. As per his opinion, he argued that government intervention is necessary. Government intervention is necessary in order to overcome the country from depression. and government intervention as per his opinion to overcome the country from depression. As per his opinion, monetary policy is ineffective to stabilize the economy during excess and deficit demand. Means Keynes emphasized the fiscal policy as key instrument to stabilize the economy, to stabilize the economy. As he, yes, he put great emphasis upon this fiscal policy, that fiscal policy will be effective in situation of excess and deficit demand to lift the economy from depression. There are key tools, like I tell early, taxation, expenditure taxation policies that can be utilized so that country can overcome from this depression situation. Like first one, I tell you, taxation policy. Taxation policy. Taxation policy. Tax policy and taxation policy we can write. Means tax play an important role, especially in fiscal policy. As I tell you, physical policy is an instrument, as important instrument. It can utilize this tax or expenditure policy to stabilize the economy during the price adjust during the country or during the situation when excess or deficit demand is prevalent in the economy. For example, in case of deficit demand, if deficit demand is prevalent, deficit demand is prevalent in the economy, definitely government can, yes, reduce tax. I will write, government can reduce tax, and tax is reduced. What will the impact of it upon economy? Definitely, it will lead to disposable income, or you can simply write income. Disposable income of farmers will increase. As tax impact of tax, be it increase or decrease, its impact is upon farmers. When government reduce the tax, definitely disposable income of the farmers will increase. This will lead to increase the purchasing power of farmers, and they will now spend more on goods and service. And this definitely one variable impact is upon the other variable. When tax is reduced, disposable income of the farmers will increase. This will lead to purchasing power of the farmers will increase. This will lead to farmers will be in such a situation they can buy more goods and services. They can produce more goods and services. This will lead to increase in demand. Increase in demand. Similarly, opposite will happen. For example, when excess demand prevails in the market, excess demand, excess market, yes, excess demand situation, excess demand situation. Opposite will happen as here government reduce the tax. As excess demand prevails in the market, government will rise tax. Government will rise tax. Rise tax. What will the impact? Definitely, it will lead to decline in the disposable income of the firms, or purchasing power of the firms will decline. When purchasing power of firms will decline, they are now ready to produce less goods and service, less depend upon goods and service. This will lead to fall in demand. Here is increase in demand, there will fall in demand. Fall in demand will lead to downfall of this excess demand. The opposite will happen. Government will raise taxes, this will lead to, I will write in short form, income will fall. Yes, your income will rise, your income will fall. When income fall, this will lead to fall in purchasing power of purchasing power. This will fall. And this will fall. They were now ready to spend less on goods and service. Less on goods and service. Goods and service. Definitely demand will fall. Fall in demand will lead to correct the situation of excess demand. Similarly, there is another policy, expenditure policy. Expenditure policy. Second one, expenditure policy. Expenditure policy. As similar as in case of when deficit demand prevails in the market economy. Deficit demand prevails in the economy. Definitely, what we call excess demand, what we call deficit demand. Simple. Deficit demand is when supply is more than demand. Demand is less. That we call deficit demand. In the definition we gave it prevalent in the economy, deficit demand. Shortfall of demand. Deficit demand, when deficit demand prevails in the market, we have a policy, expenditure policy. At the situation when deficit demand prevails in the market, definitely government will rise its expenditure. Government will increase its expenditure. This increase in expenditure will definitely lead to increase in employment. Increase in employment. This increase in employment will lead definitely arrow above showing arrow means increase. Means increase in government expense will lead to increase in employment. This increase in employment will have an impact. It will lead to increase in wages or salaries of employees. They are now ready to purchase or buy more goods and service. Definitely demand will increase. Demand will increase. Similarly, opposite will happen in case of excess demand. Definitely, what will government do? Government can easily decrease expenditure. Government will decrease expenditure or reduce. Decrease best lagi. Reduce expenditure. Reduce expenditure. Opposite impact will definitely employment will fall. Employment level will fall. And this will fall. This will definitely wages and salaries will fall. This will lead to consumers, especially consumers or farmers, are now ready to buy less, ready to spend less. this will lead to fall in demand. Due to fall in demand. Fall in demand will lead to correct excess demand in the economy. Third, there's another tool, yes, that we call deficit finance. Deficit financing. Deficit financing. Third, deficit financing. What we call deficit financing? It is simply, I will write this term, when, yes, when spending of government is more than its revenue receiver. Similarly, as government is expending, yes, making more expense upon different projects, or it spends more, but the revenue received by the government, that is less. That we call deficit financing. Why? When this, yes, when they receive less revenue, definitely they have to borrow from the central bank. Central bank to overcome this shortfall of funds, which they need to, which they need to finance the expenditure. But if this deficit finance, yes, this deficit finance is utilized strategically, then it is beneficial for the government. Deficit financing, if it is utilized, yes, strategically. If not, then there will be a negative impact upon economy. For example, if this deficit financing is utilized strategically, meaning if it is invested in, yes, productive projects like infrastructure or education, then it is beneficial for the government. But if this deficit financing is utilized for the consumption purpose, then there is a negative impact upon the economy. There is no growth. This will lead no growth of the economy. It has a negative impact when this deficit financing is utilized for the consumption purpose, not for the productive purpose. Now, productive projects like infrastructure and education. Why? As if this deficit financing is utilized for the productive projects like infrastructure and education, then we can simply government can simply generate revenue from these sectors, infrastructure and education, and can utilize for development purpose. And is this deficit financing, it is critical, yes, little bit critical, how to utilize this tool, deficit financing. Then it should be utilized strategically, as first I tell, strategically during the deficit demand or excess demand is prevailing in the market. Means if it is utilized for the productive project, is definitely in infrastructure and education, it will generate revenue. And it is beneficial for not only for the government, but it is beneficial for the economy. But if it is utilized for the consumption purpose, definitely there will be a negative impact upon economy. Now, when deficit demand or excess demand is prevailing in the market, what will be the role of deficit financing? Simply, when deficit demand is prevailing in the market, deficit demand prevailing in the market, definitely government should increase its deficit financing. Government should increase deficit financing. Increase deficit financing. As this deficit financing has a positive impact upon the at the situation when deficit financing increases, definitely increases, it has a positive impact upon farmers or consumers. Consumers will now buy more goods and services, more goods and service, or they'll invest more. They'll invest more upon different projects. Means this will lead to increase in demand. Increase in demand. Simply opposite will happen. For example, when there is excess demand, what will be the excess demand? What will be the role of deficit financing? Simply at that time, government will reduce deficit financing. Deficit financing. When government will reduce deficit finance, it will lead to decrease the purchasing power of public means farmers, consumers. This will lead to downfall of demand. Means excess demand situation can be corrected. Now, I think it is enough. Now, remaining it is objectives. What are the objectives of fiscal policy? That I will discuss in next lecture. It is not difficult to understand. Only you have to remember it 2-3 times. What are the impact of different variables upon one another? When you understand the impact of the one variable to another variable, definitely you can understand what is the impact of fiscal policy during the situation of excess and deficit demand. I think it is enough. Now, hope for the best. Take care and thanks.